In 1974, the United States Patent Office sealed a filing for an engine that ran on almost no gasoline at all, and to this day, no one has ever explained why the paperwork vanished from the public record 58 days after it was filed. The inventor was a machinist from Ohio named Raymond Kellerman. Nobody famous. No lab, no funding, no letters after his name. Just a man who spent 6 years in a rented garage outside Dayton, running fuel injection tests on a modified small block engine. His neighbors remembered the noise. They remembered him running the same engine night after night for weeks at a time. In the spring of 1974, he filed for a patent. The examiner's notes, the ones that survive, describe a fuel mixing assembly that pushed efficiency numbers nobody in Detroit was posting. Ordinary man. Ordinary garage. Extraordinary claim. Here's what shouldn't have been possible. Kellerman's own logs, later obtained through a records request, show sustained highway mileage north of 90 miles per gallon on an engine block pulled from a standard 1968 production car. No exotic materials, no custom fuel, just a different way of atomizing gasoline before it hit the cylinder. Two independent mechanics who serviced his test vehicle over the years both signed statements confirming the numbers matched what he claimed. Under oath, decades later, when a journalist finally tracked them down. If the figures were real and the men swore they watched the gauge themselves, a single garage tinkerer had solved a problem the entire auto industry was still chasing. The official story is almost boring. The Patent Office says the file was withdrawn voluntarily, that Kellerman requested it himself, citing further testing needed. Case closed, according to the record, but the withdrawal letter on file isn't signed. Not by him, not by an attorney, not by anyone. It bears a typed name and nothing else. Kellerman's daughter, interviewed in 2009, said her father never once mentioned pulling the application. She said he talked about it for the rest of his life like it had been taken from him. And here's the detail that breaks the official explanation completely. Patent examiners are required to notify an inventor directly before any application is withdrawn. There is no notification in Kellerman's file. Not a letter, not a phone log, nothing. The paperwork simply stops. Now here's where it gets buried deeper. Under a law called the Invention Secrecy Act, passed in 1951, the U.S. government can quietly classify any patent application it decides threatens national security, sealing it, freezing it, and legally barring the inventor from ever discussing it publicly. As of the last public count, more than 5,000 patents currently sit under active secrecy orders. Most are never explained to the public, and the inventors themselves are often never told why. Kellerman's file carries no visible secrecy order. But researchers who compared the Patent Office's own internal case tracking numbers found a gap. A block of application numbers from that spring, filed within days of Kellerman's, that were processed under a special internal routing code used almost exclusively for cases later transferred out of the normal Patent Office entirely. His number falls inside that block. Remember that engine running through the night in a Dayton garage. Remember the 60 days. What happened in between was never supposed to be visible at all, and it almost wasn't. It surfaced only because a clerk, retiring in the late 90s, kept a personal ledger of routing codes she found unusual enough to write down, off the books, for her own peace of mind. That ledger sat in a filing box for over a decade before anyone connected it to Kellerman's name. Think about who benefits from a garage mechanic's engine quietly disappearing. Oil companies were entering the worst public image crisis of the century in 1974. Long lines at the pump, embargoes, a country furious over fuel. A verified leap in gasoline efficiency, filed by an independent nobody with no corporate ties to buy out or silence through ordinary means, would have reshaped the entire industry's leverage overnight. It wouldn't take a conspiracy meeting in a boardroom. It would only take one routing code, applied to one application, by one person with the authority to make paperwork disappear into a classification system built to keep things exactly like this unexplained. Kellerman never filed again. He told his daughter he was warned, informally, never to. He died in 1996 without ever seeing his name on a patent. The engine itself was scrapped years before anyone thought to ask questions. All that remains is a logbook, 2 sworn statements, an unsigned withdrawal letter, and a retired clerk's private ledger nobody was ever meant to find. So ask yourself this. If a small block engine in a rented Ohio garage really did what those numbers say it did, and if the only proof that it ever existed almost vanished with a woman's private notebook, how many other application numbers are sitting inside that same routing block right now, still sealed, still unexplained, still waiting for someone to write them down?